Yo, leader of these stupid contractors. We are going to make your delivery date even sooner.
Good evening, Nick. You can call me Candace, by the way. I understand that my company is full of contractors that supply parts for you, but it'd be nice if you still referred to me by my actual name, please.
Sure. So you're gonna get those parts to me even sooner, right?
I'm sorry to say this, but I don't believe that we can.
Huh? Are you kidding me right now? You're nothing more than the leader of a small contractors group who does nothing more than make spare parts for larger firms like me. And you're saying you can't get a job done sooner for me?
I'm just telling you the reality of the situation, and asking for those parts sooner isn't going to happen.
Then in order to make things go more quickly over at your factory, I'm going to be sending some of my men over to help. Mike, Brent, and Stuart.
Huh? Are you sure you want to send those three? As far as I'm aware, they're all your top 3 performing workers, and they shouldn't be asked to come help with my team. And haven't they been with you since you started?
What difference does that make to me? I'm sending them to help you out because those 3 ended up stabbing me in the back. So I had them all fired for that.
Don't you think you've gone a bit too far by doing that to them? They might even take action against you for doing something like that.
Well, it's not like I fired them wrongfully. Those 3 men wanted to change their occupations.
They wanted to change? Wait, you have to understand that those 3 are too old now to be changing their lines of work now.
Jeez. No matter how much I try and break things to you, you can't seem to get a grasp of things. The reason I'm giving them up is because I've hired some friends of my own, and I needed to make space on my payroll, and did so by firing those 3 geezers.
You hired your own friends?
I had some friends who went to the same university as me who said they were looking for some work. And they told me they wanted an easy job that paid them well. And so I made it seem as though those 3 old men stabbed me in the back some way, and then had them fired to make room for my buddies.
Are you being serious?
I'm being very serious right now. So let's get back to what I came here to talk about. I don't need those 3 anymore, so you can go ahead and take them on as your employees and get the work I'm asking for done quicker. Then you won't have to keep making excuses for why you can't get any parts to me.
Hold on. I understand that you want this conversation to wrap up pretty quickly here, but I just want to make sure I have this all down correctly. You originally asked me to have my product to you sooner than the date we had agreed on, but I told you that no matter how much harder I pushed my workers, that wouldn't be possible. And so now you're going to give me 3 of your best men because you've hired some of your own friends to take their spots, and want your 3 best men to help my factory get said work done. However, what happens if we're still unable to get that work done at an earlier date?
As long as you take on those 3 old men, I don't care if you continue aiming for our previously discussed target date.
Understood. So that's going to be our agreement then today?
Correct. So what do you think?
Well, actually, I have one last thing to ask. I'm not completely sure what kinds of skills and trades these 3 men I'm about to hire have, but are you really sure you're okay handing them off to me?
Those 3 are able to get any work you ask them to get done. And they're all willing to work overtime whenever asked to make sure any quotas are hit. And as for their skills, you don't even have to worry about that considering they've all worked pretty much every job they've been asked to, and have done them well.
Well, if later down the road you ask for me to give them back to your company, please be aware that I will not.
I'm never asking for them back. They've grown far too old to help me now, and most of their motivation's down the drain now. Go ahead and fire them from your company if you ended up never needing them.
Is that so? Well, if that's what you want me to agree to, then so be it.
I'm not sure how helpful those geezers will be for you, but understand that me getting rid of them will not hurt my productivity in the slightest. So they're all yours now.
Then starting tomorrow, I will be taking on Mike, Brent, and Stuart to start working for me within my company. You don't mind that at all, correct?
Go right ahead. They are already being fired from my company, so you don't need to ask me for permission before doing anything with them.
Is that so? Understood. Thank you, Nick. I'll make sure to put them all to good use.
You sure about that?
Good morning, Mike. Long time no see. This is Candace from Wilds LLC.
My oh my. If it isn't the little girl of Mr. Daniels.
You don't have to keep calling me his little girl anymore. And as of right now, I've been given his company and everything, so you can call me the CEO of Wilds LLC now.
Oh, is that right? He made sure to put his daughter through it all so that she could become the perfect young woman. I can't say the same for the little man in charge of my last job.
Are you talking about that 26-year-old man, Nick, who's taken over your previous company and has started to make a name for himself there?
Right. I'm starting to get a little worried about him, especially after what he's been doing recently.
Well, I've heard all about him.
Huh?
Just yesterday he was talking with me about what he wanted from me, as well as what all happened with you guys. He told me that he had you and 2 other men, Brent and Stuart, fired so that he could hire more of his friends to come work for him.
Is that what happened?
To me, this all seems like unfair termination of your guys' jobs there. And as for me now, I don't mind talking more about what's been happening within that company. So, do you mind telling me a bit more about what's been going on there, and why Nick thinks this is all a good idea?
Sure. As far as I'm aware, he's been trying to work on cutting costs within the company so that he looks better in front of his shareholders. But in order to do that, he began sending a lot of his company's work overseas to be done for cheaper by foreign sources.
He's having everything manufactured overseas?
If the products he was having manufactured outside the US were any good, then I wouldn't be complaining. But it seems he doesn't mind that all the products we get in are trash. Well, anyway, if you want to hear the real reason the 3 of us were fired, it's due to us all complaining about the quality of what the company was bringing in from overseas. And the day after we complained, we were all informed that we've been terminated. At least to keep things as clean as possible with the terminations, he was willing to give us all packages.
I see. So this had nothing to do with him hiring friends to work for him then? Well, have you started to think about what you want to do now?
Well, not yet. I'm not sure what to do now. I've been thinking a lot about my family now, and I've been hoping that they understand that it'll be some time before I can find new work. Not only that, but I'm also getting pretty old now.
Mike, if you don't mind, would you like to come work for me?
Well that's...
And it wouldn't be just you that I'm asking, but Brent and Stuart as well. So what do you think?
Well, that is. I'm very thankful for you offering me a position within your company. We don't have too much longer before we all really start to consider retirement. So are you really okay with the 3 of us being hired into your company and working for you?
Well, to tell you the truth, I've actually begun working on creating a new department within my company. And soon I plan to hire in a lot of younger work to begin handling said new department. But I'm going to need a few men with plenty of years of experience in these fields to come in and train them so that they have a better understanding of the demands my company and this industry have. So if I have the 3 of you, with all the knowledge you men hold, join my company and work your last couple of years with me, then I feel that the opening of this new department will go very smoothly for me.
Is that so? Thinking that much about how to implement the 3 of us into your company. Thank you.
Also, having spoken to you about this, do you mind if I go and talk with Brent and Stuart now about the same thing?
Yes, please go tell them.
Then I'll plan to have them both well informed by this time tomorrow. And as for you becoming an employee within my company, I'd like you to tell me before tomorrow what days you'd like off this next year, and if you have any other demands you'd like me to meet.
Understood. Thank you so much for this opportunity. Candace!
Give me back those 3 right now.
Huh? Ah, this must be you, Nick. It's been around a year now since the last time we spoke to one another. Now what do you mean by me handing those 3 back to you?
Those friends of mine that I hired to work for me ended up being completely useless. I thought for sure that since I knew all of them really well and knew the educations they had, they would work well under my leadership. But they haven't been able to do jack for me, and I can't use them anymore.
Well, that would happen, wouldn't it?
Also, here's something I heard while you've been holding on to these 3. Apparently they have all been doing very well for themselves, and are considered top class in their fields now. I had to tell a lot of my customers why the quality of my products have gone down, and when explaining to them that I've gotten rid of Mike and those other 2, they let me know how stupid I was.
I knew something like this would happen to you. After all, those friends of yours you've told me you hired are actually a bunch of overseas partners that you've been sending all your work off to for cheaper, hoping to save some money, right? Well, it seems that those savings you gained from doing so also ended up ruining the quality of all your products, and now you're left dealing with some very angry customers.
Please, Candace. Give those 3 back to me so that they could fix all of this.
No way.
Why not?
They've made it very clear to me that they don't want to work under you anymore.
Well, I'll make sure to fix things. If you can get them to come back to me, I'll make sure to never rush a production ever again, or ask for anything more out of your company.
Ah, no thank you.
What?
I've just finished implementing a new department into my company that has ventured out into some new technologies. And that department has already been making my company tenfold what all the other departments have made, so if I were to send those 3 back to you, I'd lose my biggest profit maker.
Huh?
Also, on top of that, I told you a year ago when you told me to take them off your hands that if you ever wanted them back, I'd say no. And back then I know for a fact that you agreed with me on that term. So can you please stop trying to break the promise we had?
Candace, please. I'm asking you to please. Please just forget about everything you said to me a year ago and hand those 3 back to me. That's all I want. I'm not joking when I said that right now. My company is in seriously hot water. If I can't get my company back to producing quality goods, then it's all gonna go under.
Well, telling me all of that isn't going to get you anywhere. I'll be going now.
Hold on a second, Candace! Mike, please! I'm asking you to please come back to my company.
If it isn't my old boss, Nick. It's been such a long time now.
I don't need you to sit there talking like I'm some old friend of yours. Now get your butt back here. I'm telling you right now that I'm willing to hire you again.
I'm sure that what you're saying right now is a load of crap, right?
What are you going on about?
I could have sworn you told Candace that you had the 3 of us fired to make room for some of your friends to come and work for you, right? Ah, and that's the other thing. You didn't want to make it seem as though you fired us for that reason. So you also told Candace that we wanted to change careers anyway, right?
That was...
As far as I'm concerned, you wanted to hide your true intentions from everybody by saying that. Just so you didn't have to fear being taken to court for firing us unfairly. Well, no worries, Nick. We had only been with your company since the day it was founded by your father, and had made sure to work there with all loyalty to you guys. But after being fired by you for BS excuses, I think we no longer see you as the man your father was, and that's okay.
Huh?
As of right now, Brent, Stewart, and I no longer have to be worried about what we are going to do, because we have a new boss in charge of us, who is far more caring about the experiences we have as our employees. And, unlike you, she plans to only hold on to us for the next few years, so that when it's time for us to want to retire, she'll give us a very nice package and let us go. Of course, we could come back to you when our time is up here and we've retired. But remember, we no longer feel loyal to you and your company, so I don't think you'll ever get our help when the time comes. Well, that's if your company is even around by that point.
Kenneth, hey, please. How about you get married to me and then start helping my company get back on its feet so that the two of us can become a power couple?
Are you kidding me?
I understand that it's not what either of us want right now, but I'd much rather be married to you and keep my company than have it to go under and no longer have any money. In other words, I don't have any other choice besides marrying you and getting your help. You don't even have to stay with me after my company is back on its feet. You can divorce me right after that. So please come help me.
Well, listen to this, Nick.
Yes?
I'm already married.
Huh? But your last name? That's the same name as your father's.
Well, that's because my husband ended up taking my family's name. And as of right now, we already have 2 kids, both in elementary school.
What the heck?
So we can be finished here, right?
I'm screwed.
Goodbye now, Nick. In the end, it seems that the second-generation CEO of that company ended up taking the company under. He did make mistakes by thinking he could cut costs by sending workers out to overseas partners to make parts for him, but the thing that really sunk his company was more personal. It's understandable that keeping workers for a very long time will see them costing you more money to keep employed, especially when they're good at their jobs. But Nick made a huge mistake getting rid of 3 of his best men so that he can cut costs, even though they were the ones carrying his company and making sure the quality was right. Anyway, after the loss of his company, he was still in debt to a few banks that he had been taking loans from to try and help his company. And to help start making some money to pay them off, he began working for one of his friends, at the starting level on the floor of the factory. But of course, he never lost that toxic personality of his, and so relations with the other workers within the factory began to sour. And before long, he was out of that job as well. I'm not sure what's happened to Nick since then, but I'm sure he's regretting what he did to his company a while back and will never be able to move on from it. And as for my company, we have been doing really well this year and expect to do even better these coming years thanks to the new department. However, it won't be long before I have to say goodbye to Mike and the guys, as they'll soon be on their way to retiring. Thank you for watching and listening. We hope you enjoyed the video. Don't forget to like this video and subscribe. Also, feel free to leave a comment about what you thought of the story. We look forward to seeing you at the next story. Hey, Phil, are you there? I hate to tell you this, but I might not be able to make it home tonight.
Excuse me, you going to be late again? Or are you saying you're not coming home at all? You're staying overnight somewhere?
Yeah, well, it's not decided yet, but the possibility of not coming home at all is pretty certain.
Really? Didn't your company put out some policy for this winter? It's supposed to get bad today, so unless you're on the night shift, all employees are supposed to leave early because there might be transportation delays or something. Wasn't that what they announced last week?
Yeah, that's what they said, all right, and I was all ready to leave when we got a call from one of our major clients. Apparently they encountered some serious system trouble on their main operating system. The weather is getting bad, but I can't just leave this and go home. We're talking about a major client. We really have to handle it tonight.
Yeah, I suppose it comes with the job, huh? Being a system engineer can get pretty hectic. They're always turning to you when there's even a tiny glitch. Anyway, this isn't the first time. Remember the one last year?
How can I forget that? That was during the big hurricane, wasn't it? That was pretty bad. But this time at least I don't have to go on site. I can do this all remote, but the only problem is I have no idea when this can be solved. We tried several solutions, but it rejected them all. Really not sure what the problem is. Worst case scenario, it may take all night. If, by chance, we find a solution, I can get home, but if not, I may have to stay all night. I'm really sorry about this, Phil. I hope you understand.
No problem. Just don't overdo it or anything. Rest when you can.
Thanks. Oh, yeah. I hate to ask, but could you dump a cup of detergent in the washing machine and switch it on? It's ready to go.
Huh? You want me to do the laundry? You know the dryer's on the blink. Can't hang it out to dry in this weather. Why bother?
Yeah, but just having it washed and ready to dry will save me a lot of time later. I've got to do it any chance I get, or it will just pile up before you know it.
Right. Okay, no problem.
Oh, and could you throw in the kitchen towels and the apron in there too? I forgot to throw those in this morning.
Do we even have an apron? I can't remember using it.
Yeah, I bought it because I'm always on the run, as you know. Didn't want to dirty up my suit in the morning. It saved me the other morning, actually. Splashed egg all over it. I left it on the kitchen table. Forgot to drop it in the washing machine this morning. It's bright blue. I can't miss it.
Oh, okay. I'll check and see later on.
You're doing remote work all day today, right? No change in schedule? You don't have to meet a client later or anything, right?
Yep, that's right. As a matter of fact, I was in the middle of something just now.
Oh, I'm sorry. I didn't realize. I thought you were on your lunch break. I'm sorry if I interrupted.
Don't worry about it. After I finish this up, I'm done for the day, so no problem.
Oh, okay, great. So you got the evening free then? All right then. I better be getting back to work. Gotta figure this thing out. If I'm lucky, I can get this done tonight. Wish me luck.
All right, good luck.
Hey, Phil, are you there? Please reply if you're seeing this. I thought you were home. You said you weren't going anywhere. It's a snowstorm out here. Where the hell did you run off to, for God's sake? Did you look outside? Have you taken a look in front of the house? Can't you see the snow piled up on the front walkway? Apparently snow slid off the roof. I got a call from Mrs. Barkley next door. You know, the old lady next door, right? Well, she told me that there was a woman buried in the pile of snow. I must have approached the house and the snowpack slid off the roof or something. It was apparently a pretty large pack of snow. Luckily, Mrs. Barkley called the ambulance right away because nobody was home at our place. It took a while for the ambulance to get there, but she said she seemed okay as far as she could tell. As for me, I'm still at the office. We solved that system error problem, but all transportation has been delayed. I have no way to get home because of this snow. I have no idea where you are, so I'm just relaying all this information. Just so you're aware, I can't believe you're not home, Phil. Where'd you go, for crying out loud? Contact me as soon as you see this message. I just hope you're not in trouble or anything. To be honest, I'm worried sick. Phil, are you there? Where the hell are you? I can't seem to get a reply from you. Are you even seeing this? I'm not even sure if you got back home or not. I don't see an icon on screen indicating you're seeing this. Do you even have the thing turned on? Or is your battery just dead and you can't charge it? What's going on, Phil? You're scaring me. I need a reply ASAP. We need to talk about what to do about that woman who was injured in front of our house. She's at the hospital over in Richmond. We can't just ignore her. She was injured on our property. We could get sued, so contact me right away after you see this. You do realize that you're in a real precarious situation here. I hope you're aware of that, Phil.
What the hell is this, Melanie? What's with this message? Sending me crap like this? Is this some kind of gag you're pulling? What's up with this? Making up some far-fetched mumbo-jumbo about you being taken away by an ambulance? What's with this play act and exaggeration? This is not even funny at all, Melanie. And even involving Mrs. Barkley? She's just a little old lady, for God's sake. How could you get her involved in your little prank? It's like you're showcasing your frustration to everybody in this neighborhood. Aren't you in the least bit embarrassed by this dumb little charade? And where were you taken? You said Richmond. Are you talking about the big one on 5th Street? I don't really care, to be honest. I don't plan on visiting you there anyways. I mean, seriously, why would I after what you pulled?
Huh? Pardon me? What are you saying? I'm still at the company. I really can't get out of this right now. I'm not sure I can get home right now.
Hold on a second. Pardon me?
And what the hell are you blabbering about? Phil, I'm really busy right now. I thought I explained it all to you.
But you just messaged me about you getting buried in front of our house and that you were taken to the hospital. What was that all about then?
Phil, are you even reading that message properly? Did you just glance at it? Sure sounds like it.
Huh? Wait a second. You're telling me I read it all wrong? I'm pretty sure...
Just read it over one more time, would you please? And this time, slowly, so that you understand the entire situation.
What is this, Melanie? Some woman was hauled off to the hospital from our house? Are you serious? It says she got buried in snow in front of our house. Are you kidding me? What the hell happened?
Come on, Phil. You did that, didn't you?
Huh? Excuse me?
What was that crap you said to me? You read that message from me all wrong. You thought it was me that got buried in snow, and you didn't give a hoot about me. You weren't even going to visit me at the hospital. Are you serious, Phil? Your outburst is all on record, so there's no use refuting any of it. You meant what you said. There's no denying the fact.
Yeah, well, I just misinterpreted the message is all. I didn't mean it. I was upset. What can I say?
Oh, really? Sure seemed like you meant it. Like I said, the line messages are left on record. There is no disavowing it now. I could even print it out if I wanted to. You want me to do that? Oh, yeah, and I just got a call from the hospital. They were finally able to identify that woman that was taken there.
What?
They said her name was Deborah Sinclair. Ring any bells? I wonder why she was at our home. Delivering something, perhaps? Or maybe visiting someone?
Hold on a second. Did you just say Deborah Sinclair? I mean, just want to confirm, you know.
That's right. Sure sounds like it rings a bell with you, Phil. On the other hand, I have no recollection of such a person. Who is this Deborah Sinclair? You know her, right? Who is she, Phil?
I'm not sure. I thought it was you.
Yeah, and? You thought it was me, so what?
Forget what I said. It's nothing.
It's kind of late to be saying any of that anyways.
Pardon me?
Phil, do you know how much time has passed since this Deborah was taken to the hospital? It was a pretty frantic situation that unfolded over there. All the neighbors were out, the ambulance blaring down the street. A couple of cop cars even showed up. In such a situation, don't you think they did a little background check regarding the whole thing? The cops aren't stupid, you know.
What are you trying to say? Come right out and say it, Melanie. You got my undivided attention. Give it a go, then.
All right, if that's the way you want it, Phil. I know all about your little affair, Phil. That Deborah, she's your hot little babe, am I right?
Wait, what? How do you...
And you were seeing two separate girls. Really, Phil? I didn't realize you were such a low-life scumbag.
Oh, wait a second. Why do you even know all this?
Okay, you seem completely bewildered, so let me explain the whole thing to you, Phil. Once you found out I wasn't able to come home last night because of the system troubles we had at the client's place and the fact that the traffic was all disrupted due to the snow, you immediately contacted both Deborah and this other girl you're seeing. But apparently Deborah wasn't able to make it, so you decided to spend the day with your other lover. How am I doing so far, Phil? Did I miss anything? What I think you probably did was you decided to go and pick this girl up somewhere because of the snow. That left the house temporarily empty. But because you're so absent-minded and don't really think things through, or maybe it was you because you were so excited to see your lover. I don't know. Well, in your haste, you left the door unlocked.
Huh? I'm pretty sure
Then unexpectedly, Deborah decided to show up at the house. Was she there to surprise you? Or maybe she thought it over and decided she wanted to see her lover boy? Not sure. I guess when she arrived to find the front door open, she figured you were working inside and went in without calling out to you or bothering to knock. After all, you did tell her I wasn't coming home that night because of the snow. She went straight to the kitchen and put on my blue apron, the one I asked you to throw in the washing machine. Then she started cooking dinner for you, as if she were your wife.
Wait, let me explain, Melanie.
Then you came waltzing in with your other lover like nothing happened. You took one look in the kitchen and saw a woman standing there with a bright blue apron. You immediately thought it was me and thought your little love affair was exposed. In your panic-stricken way, you grabbed the woman, who you thought was me, from the kitchen and pushed her out the back kitchen door and onto the snow. You didn't even bother to check if the woman was me.
Are you telling me that woman I tossed out was Debbie?
Yep, that was Deborah. But you seem to prefer Debbie. You guys figured you couldn't very well have your fun and games with the wife at home, so you guys immediately left the house and locked the door on your way out. I have no idea where you guys went, but you were definitely with this other woman of yours, right?
Well, we were... Hey, what happened to Debbie?
I heard that when you tossed her out the door, she fell off the porch and broke her ankle. Apparently you told her, thinking it was me, of course, to stay in the snow to cool off or something to that effect. Debbie managed to make her way to the front door, but it was locked. When she tried to leave the house, she fell off the front porch and couldn't get up due to the severe pain in her ankle. It was really starting to snow about that time, and she gradually got covered in snow, and to make things worse, the snow piled on the roof slid off and buried her even further. She tried calling out, but snow really insulates sound. Did you know that? As you probably know, when it snows like that, there are hardly any people walking around in that kind of weather. It was just by chance that Mrs. Barkley was able to find her. It seems her dog ran off and she was out looking for him and found him snuffing around in the pile of snow in our front yard. I don't want to think about what would have happened to her if she hadn't found her. Immediately, she called the ambulance and was taken away to the hospital. A neighbor also called the police because nobody recognized the girl as anybody from the neighborhood.
Oh, and how is she? I mean, is Debbie okay?
I was told it wasn't anything serious, just a broken ankle. She's recovering just fine, apparently.
Which hospital is she at? Where'd they take her?
Why do you want to know? Are you intending to go visit her? Visit your lover?
Huh? Well, I was just...
To be honest, I'm not at all concerned about your lover. I don't even know her. But to give out information about where she is hospitalized to the very person responsible for putting her in the hospital to begin with, that makes zero sense. So I'm sorry, Phil, I have no intention of telling you anything. Rather than worrying about your sweetheart, maybe you should start worrying about yourself.
Me? Why should I worry?
As I mentioned earlier, a neighbor contacted the police, and the whole thing kind of got a little more complicated.
What do you mean? How complicated?
Did you really think the police would just let this go? Don't you think they would have investigated this? A woman was injured, you know?
But the police... Why involve the police?
They cleared me of any wrongdoing, but I don't know what the situation is right now. I think they're still continuing the investigation.
Wait a second, what are you saying? That I may be in trouble? What's going to happen to me? What do they want from me?
Don't ask me.
How could you say that, Melanie? I'm your husband. How could you be so cold and unconcerned? This could be serious, you know? You're being way too unsympathetic, Melanie. Where's your compassion?
Am I hearing you right, Phil? You're asking me to give you compassion? Seriously? The guy who has 2 lovers? The guy who's been cheating on me for God knows how long?
Yeah, well, it doesn't change the fact that you're my wife and you have a responsibility, a duty to your husband.
Sorry, Phil, that's not going to cut it. Just so you're aware, I'm already talking to my lawyer about a divorce, so...
Huh? Wait, a divorce? You want to get divorced? And why talk to a lawyer? You're really blowing this thing way out of proportion, Melanie.
You don't seem to get the point, Phil. Like I said, you're the one with 2 lovers. You're the one that's been 2-timing me. I don't want to hear any crap from a jerk who's been screwing around behind my back. You got that, buddy?
Yeah, well, it was just a fling. You're my true love, Melanie. You know, I was just stressed out with work and all.
Pardon me, I'm your main? Huh? Well, that makes me feel so special, thanks!
Yeah, what I mean is, I picked you as my wife. You were the best of...
Best of the lot? Like selecting a used car or something? When are you going to get tired of that and get a new one? And by selecting, are you saying you were already going out with the other 2 girls even before we were married? Maybe there was more than 2!
No, of course not.
Sure sounds like it, Phil. You picked me out of the 3? I wonder why. Is it because I make more than them?
No, what I'm saying is...
I think I'm officially getting pissed off. Before I really go over the edge, maybe it would be better if we continued further discussions regarding this issue through our lawyers.
Like I said, this whole thing about lawyers is going way too far. Let's just talk face to face. I'm sure we can work it out between us.
This coming from the guy that's been screwing around behind my back? My pissed off meter just went up a notch. I wouldn't push it any further, mister.
But I was just trying to...
Please don't try anymore. You'll really regret it, Phil. I would advise against it.
Huh?
Okay, Phil, that's all I've got to say. Goodbye. Have a good life, Phil. I really was about to explode during that line exchange. Glad I cut it off in time. I talked to my lawyer after that and started the process of getting all the papers ready for the divorce. I'm so glad the lawyer will take care of the rest and not have to see Phil any more than I have to. I'm scared I may even give him a fat lip. About a week or so later, my lawyer was able to collect all of the evidence of his infidelity and came up with the amount we would be demanding from him. I was surprised that he got it all done in such a short period of time. The house we were living in was in Phil's name, so I was the one that had to move out. As for Phil, the 2 women eventually learned that he was secretly seeing the both of them. When they found out, you can imagine the furious reaction that must have ensued. Deborah, the girl that got thrown out of the house and ended up in the hospital, is apparently pressing charges against him. The other woman is also suing him for damages. Apparently, he promised her he would get divorced and marry her. Phil kept calling me and sending long, desperate messages online, so I finally changed my phone number and line address. I really can't thank my lawyer enough for moving quickly with all this before it got completely out of control.